track, rip it up. And if you bad mind people, you go meet it up. Pass me the Congo, Jama, let me beat it up. God on my side, me no give it up. No weapon that form against us shall not prevail. And no man that rise against us, that war they shall never win. Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer, yes I will conquer them. Come on, let's conquer, oh I will conquer, rise up and conquer them. Thank you, Father. I want to say thank you, Lord. You're everything, Father. Thank you. Father, you alone shall guide me. No man shall lead my path. In the wind I hear your quiet whispers, and you heal my broken heart. Even some of my friends turn enemies, and they pray for right to feel. And remember you give us your only begotten son, but we gave him the wound of life. Send down your warriors with the hello. They carry down to the end of days. No matter how the devil try trick me, unto you my soul I will give. Father, I know this storm is coming. I can see the high tide raise. Without you there is no other. Could there be that real is my soul? No weapon that form against us shall not prevail. And no man that rise against us, that war they shall never win. Because I will conquer, oh I will conquer, yes I will conquer them. Come on, let's conquer, oh I will conquer, rise up and conquer them. I am a man, I am a champion, I am a warrior. So who are you to tell me that I cannot make? Who are you to tell me that I am not the greatest thing that God ever created?
Good morning, Grenada, Carriacou, and P.T. Martinique. You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on 97.5 CitysoundFM, 89.5 CRFM, 92.9 Sister Round Radio, broadcasting from Hillsborough, Carriacou, and of course 94.9 We Noise Radio out there in Brooklyn, New York. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on the live video, whether it's on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever it is you may be. A very special good morning to you. It is a beautiful, beautiful Monday morning in the Spice Isle of Grenada. The sun is shining and everyone is about their business, if for lack of a better phrase. And with me in studio this morning, none other than Mr. Roland Bola. Good morning, Mr. Bola.
Good morning to you, Miss Duncan.
No, I don't want to call you my co-host this morning.
Well,
I'm afraid you picked me.
If I'm not your co-host, I'm just not your co-host. Good morning to the listening public, wherever you are in Grenada or in New York. If you're listening to We Know, it's a very special good morning to you. It's really a lovely day, a lovely morning, I should say, here in Grenada. The sun is out. It was not as hot as it normally would be this morning. We had a little overnight showers. I don't know how heavy it was in St. George's up my side. It was more than a sprinkle, but it was not a really, really heavy downpour. So I think the plants are happy. I think the farmers are even happier that they got a little rain. And so we look forward to having a magnificent Monday.
Absolutely, Mr. Bola. I couldn't say it better myself. It wasn't very cool down here this morning, because it was a bit overcast, setting up for rain. So there was a little bit of heat.
The humidity.
Yeah.
Was trapped
so
there.
It wasn't that hot. But last night wasn't that cool either. I mean, we got a few showers, but it still wasn't that cool. But nonetheless, it's still a beautiful morning, and we are grateful to be alive. And Mr. Bola, we have so much to talk about this morning to start the week off. Last week we would have started the conversation surrounding the market vendors. I'm not sure if you were familiar with the issue of the market vendors. The government of Grenada actually put out a statement. But before we even get to the statement, I want us to discuss. And of course, it's Monday, so we open the lines early to invite people into the conversation, to respectfully give their opinions. But of course, in the same time, I must say this: in giving your opinion, ensure that when you're saying something is facts is speaking. Unless it's not facts, then you please respectfully say, in my opinion, right? We don't want anybody getting in trouble on air for slander and libel, right? So be very careful in what you say. So if you find I'm a lash when it comes to the things that you say, it is simply because I'm protecting you, I'm protecting me, and I'm protecting this studio, this company.
HARDTALK Grenada Limited.
Yes, from any form of libel or slander, because we are here to bring to you the facts. And as we always say, we are not the repository of information. We won't know of all information. We won't know everything all of the time, but we do make it our duty to provide you with information as we get it, and of course to find for you information as it becomes available. All right, so we do our best, we do what we can. And a lot of people say, well, I ain't listening to that program only there in defense of government. But then y'all listen to other programs that spew a lot of negativity, that spew a lot of information that is non-factual, that spew a lot of hate and a lot of anger towards the administration. And I can't see the justification, but I guess you guys know how you justify it, you know. But we will continue doing what we're doing. Everybody's not going to agree with us. Some people may not like what we say. But at the end of the day, our job and our duty is to provide you with the facts, provide you with information, to stimulate conversation, to stimulate positivity, to stimulate a growth mindset. A lot of people don't know or are not familiar with what a growth mindset is. Mr. Bola, you know what a growth mindset is?
Well, of course, the two words, if one has an understanding what growth is and what a mindset is, you put them together and simplify it. It's about you going through the thought process that is going to help you to grow, to be a better you, to to analyze more, to think more critical and creative, and to do things that are positive in your own upliftment, growth, and development.
Absolutely.
In its simplest form.
Absolutely. So we need to start embracing a growth mindset so that not only our children come out educated, and not only our children at the end of the day say, well, I went to school for X and X years and they taught me critical thinking and all of that, but we as a population, young and old, can go through the process of analyzing situations, of making better decisions and better judgments, that can help grow and build the individual. And last week, Mr. Bola, we spoke about being responsible for your own growth and your own outcome in life, and not sitting there in a situation of poverty and blaming other people for that situation, but looking at the brighter picture that you can only grow up from there. And looking for ways in which you can help yourself grow, because at the end of the day, when you grow out of poverty, that feeling, and you are the one that benefits from it,
Certainly.
You are the one that benefits.
There's something that is referred to and very popularly used in the U.S., and so what they refer to as generational poverty. It's not endemic here in Grenada, but it's here as well, where because of what your parents or grandparents or foreparents been through, you tend to have that mindset, using the word that we're speaking about, that things will never be better for you. This is my lot in life. This is how it was for grandma and for mama, and my aunt, and so that is how it should be for me. And so we need to start, as we oftentimes say, thinking outside the box. We need to start seeing the bigger picture and recognizing that while yes, government has a role to play, and other people and the church and other organizations may be able to do some things that can assist you. In the final analysis, it is up to you. It is you to decide that I want to be better. I want to get out of this realm of poverty and be in another place. And that is not to say that you need to hate yourself or hate your family or hate where you come from. You need to hate the condition that you're living in.
Absolutely.
And be willing to do more to get out of this condition. Yes? Maybe your grandmother had tried. Maybe your mother made some attempts. Probably they didn't push far enough, hard enough, for long enough. You must now take it upon yourself to do more for you and for those who depend on you. Yes? And for too long, many of us have just sat back and decided and felt that, someone else is responsible for moving me from the point where I am to the point where I want to be, or where I think I should be. We have that responsibility, and let's face it and do the things we can. Let's make ourselves become much more knowledgeable of where assistance is available or who can assist us. But at the end of the day, we cannot be totally reliant on another party or another group or another individual to make those decisions for us and to do everything for us.
And it's funny, Mr. Bola, that you hear, and I listen to a lot of the radio programs, and I follow a lot of social media pages and so on. Of course, I have to know what's going on, to see how people are thinking. And I realize that a lot of educated people, especially those with political affiliations, tend to make vulnerable people believe that the reason they're stuck in poverty is because the administration isn't providing enough for them. And while it is the administration's responsibility to ensure that the environment is enabling enough so that you can grow, it is not their responsibility to provide you with each and every single tool in your growth and in your development. And as soon as we come to that realization, then we would understand that the responsibility is solely ours for our growth and our development, and not just out of poverty, but let's talk about the spiritual and educational aspects of our life. It is our responsibility when we go before God. Who do we pray for? We pray for ourselves first and our families, and we pray for growth and we pray for development. And, so it's the same concept. Do we just sit down and wait for God to say, okay, well, you've prayed, you've asked, and I'm just going to answer. So just sit there and wait. No, you have to work towards what you want, because the Bible speaks about faith without works. It's dead, right? So in the same concept, when you want to grow and build yourself, you can't just sit there and point fingers at this person and say, well, Mr. Bola is the one that's responsible for me being in the situation that I'm in it. Because when he was parliamentary representative, I go for both him for like a help. He give me half and he didn't give me all that I want, so I couldn't do what I want to do with it. So that's the reason why I am the way I am. We cannot continue to live in this kind of way. We must start to embrace a growth mindset where we understand that we are responsible for our growth, that we are the ones that are responsible for our happiness, that we are the ones that are responsible to take us from where we are to where we want to be in life. But you must first know where you want to be, Mr. Bola.
Of course, because, while your past is very important because it helps to guide the decisions you make for present and for future. They say it's like a tree without roots. Your past is like your roots. Mm-hmm. But of course, a tree with root alone doesn't survive. It must grow and make branches and leaves and spread out, and utilize the sunlight and everything else to make its food. Just like that as a human being. You remember your past, but don't get stuck in it.
Yeah.
Don't cement yourself into the past. Use the past as a guidance to say, look, these were the shortcomings, this was the mistake. These are the positives that we had in the past. How can I now use those positives or even those negatives as stepping stones to get better? Because somewhere it is said that failing, doing something and not being successful is not fatal. It's not the end of life for you, but it's an opportunity for you to do it better the next time around. So
Absolutely.
looking at the past tells us where we went wrong if we do it critically and we acknowledge it, and so we would know what are the steps we need to take now to not repeat those mistakes, but to do better than we did before. But don't get stuck. Don't remain there. Don't have a mindset that keeps taking you back every day, every time, every opportunity that arises to remind you, oh, you had failed in the past. Oh, you don't want to forget your history, and you don't want to forget your past. But you cannot continue to move forward if you keep that heavy baggage, strapped onto you. It's going to pull you back. It's going to hold you back. It's going to prevent you from your natural growth. So,
all right. Well, Mr. Bola, I want us to jump right into the topics at hand. And we're going to be speaking about two things this morning. We're going to be having a conversation about there was a report of the Grenada, that entrance to the Grenada Lake being locked off. There was a lot of rumors spreading. Of course, you know how we are as a people, which is not an excuse to behave in that way. But I'm just using it as a point of reference that for the first, as soon as we see something, we just tend to run with it. And there was a lot of talk circulating about the it being sold, apparently.
To whom, may I ask?
I don't know, Mr. Bola.
Okay.
There was also talk that the market was being sold, so we will address that as well. And of course, we need to address the matter of the stimulus package, because for me, Mr. Bola, I'm still in a vexed mood about the happenings with the stimulus package. And also from following social media, I've seen government of Grenada put out a statement stating that 7,000 Grenadians have received or benefited from the stimulus package. Mr. Bola, I looked at the comments, and you see people telling them they lie. And you see people saying that's not true. And I would like to appeal to these people. If this is a lie and this is not true, then you must provide us with truth.
Give us the facts. You seem to have.
Give us the facts. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read to the general public the information provided by the Ministry of Finance, Government of Grenada, as it relates to the stimulus package. And it reads, more than 7,000 Grenadians have benefited thus far from government's economic stimulus packages, which offers payroll support for businesses, income support to self-employed persons, and an unemployment benefit, among other measures. Statistics from the COVID-19 Economic Support Secretariat shows that the beneficiaries include 664 bus operators and close to 500 persons involved in various aspects of tourism, including taxi and tour operators and vendors. Payroll support has been provided to 137 businesses, which collectively employ more than 3,000 workers. Additionally, the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. the Right Honourable Keith Mitchell, explained in his recent national address, government is continuously evaluating the categories of persons eligible to benefit and have made some adjustments. Since the initial announcement of the stimulus package, several categories, including hairdressers, barbers, and market vendors, have been included among the beneficiaries. To date, 277 market vendors, hairdressers, and barbers, 250 laid-off Royalton workers, and 120 aviation services of Grenada employees have been added to the list of beneficiaries. Mr. Bola, you want to pause there?
No, I think you should. You
Okay.
should finish the letter because it's.
The government of Grenada has received additional requests for consideration and has committed to exploring the possibility of honoring these requests. Another measure provided for the stimulus package is an unemployment benefit paid to the National Insurance Scheme. So far, close to 2,700 Grenadians have received this benefit. When it was first announced, the stimulus package covered a 3-month period. With the pandemic continuing to impact the closure of borders and restrict economic activities in some sectors, the Prime Minister has indicated that government is considering a 3-month extension of the support granted to hotel workers. However, while government is sympathetic to the plight of the workers dealing with reduced income and job losses, government itself is limited by the significant decline in revenue. Overall, government has expended more than 17 million on various measures in the stimulus package, including income and payroll support, reduction in electricity bills for consumers, and grants to the Grenada Development Bank to support the Small Business Development Fund, the Small Hoteliers Business Fund, which offer concessionary loans to help stimulate business activity. Business activity. The COVID-19 Economic Support Secretariat established specifically to implement and coordinate the measures included in the stimulus package, continues the process, and verifies application. That was a lot. That was a lot of information. But in everything that we just read, I want us to highlight the important points. Important point number 1, Mr. Bola. Let me just pull it back up here. So 7,000 Grenadians have benefited. People are saying, well, who is these 7,000 people? You know,
We have close to 100,000 people living in Grenada, so I don't know that it is easy to just point out
exactly
1 to 3. So 7,000 is a very, very minute amount in our population.
Now, I'm very happy that the government of Grenada took the time to break down or give us a breakdown of the numbers and the areas that have received support from the stimulus package. So we're looking at 664 bus operators and 500 persons who are involved in the various tourism aspects of tourism, including taxi operators and vendors. So we have bus owners and operators. And mind you, when they speak about bus owners and operators, Mr. Bola, there are people who operate buses but don't own those buses.
Yep.
So the stimulus package support was given to the owners with the understanding that they would provide the operators of the bus with that support.
Yep.
Right? Then we had 500 persons from various aspects of the tourism sectors, taxi drivers and tour operators. Now, let's break that down even further. When we speak about taxi drivers, it's very similar to speaking about bus operators, because you have taxi drivers who drive the taxi but do not own the taxi, or they drive for a company, which means that the company would receive the monies to pass on to them, all right?
Yep.
For support.
Yeah.
Then we have tourism vendors, and I want to believe that's the people who sell the spices.
Most times, yes.
And so on. Some of them located up at the Granada Tank, some of them located in front of the mall. What's that mall?
And then you have some
the
by
Bruce Street Mall.
by the Annandale Falls and
Grand Dance and so on.
Concord Falls, yes.
Right.
Grandad Spice Market, Vendors Market, I think they call it. Yeah.
Great. So we have all of those. Then we have payroll support that has been provided to 137 businesses. Now we're looking at 137 businesses and saying, well, that is nothing. But these businesses collectively have employed more than 3,000 workers. More than 3,000 workers means that it exceeds the number 3,000, right? So we have over 3,000 people employed with businesses that have been directly affected by COVID-19 who have received support, stimulus support. Right. Additionally, we have 277 market vendors. And I want to stress on that because there has been, especially with the new issue surrounding the market, there has been a lot of talk that market vendors, nothing has been done for them, and they have been forgotten about, and they receive no support from government and all of these things. And as we can see here, 277 market vendors have received support under the stimulus package. We have hairdressers and barbers who have received support. 250 laid off Royalton workers, and we know Royalton did not open. They were due to open, right? And then there was COVID-19 and they had to let go of their staff. So government took it upon themselves to ensure that these people were provided for under the stimulus package. And then we have 120 aviation services of Grenada employees, right?
So that's at the airport.
That's at the airport, who received assistance under the stimulus package. You know, then on top of that, we have the 2,700 Grenadians who received benefits from the NIS, unemployment support. And in addition to all of these things, government has invested more than $17 million in reduction of electricity, Grenada Development Banks to support small businesses, the Small Hotelier Business Fund. You know, a lot of these things are being done. So when I hear these comments about nothing is being done, maybe what you consider nothing is a lot for somebody else, huh?
Well, I think that the letter or the release is very clear in spelling out numbers, in telling you the areas in which these people are. Sometimes there's a tendency, and even this morning I heard one caller on a program saying, look, whenever government has something that is supposed to be distributed, everyone should get something to that extent, and not some people getting twice or three times and others never get. And so if you think that what government has to offer is for every single Grenadian, then you are correct. But there's always specific groups or individuals that may qualify for certain program, because let's face it, there may be more people in Grenada who wants a hand up or a handout than those who can actually provide the handout. Yes? But it is not fair that if Roland Bola is able and has the means to take care of himself and his family, that whatever little government is going to provide for a less fortunate family, it must now be shared between that family and myself. It is not fair. So we need to know first and foremost that these programs are not meant for everybody. These social programs are not meant for everybody in the country, but for those who needs it most. And then it takes time, because for many of us, we are not always straightforward in the way we bring information, in the way we give information. And so until and unless the people do proper scrutiny of the information that they get, the packages that they receive, whether verbally or in writing, and they need to do a lot of verification, because if they don't, they may soon find that they are giving what should be given to lower or almost people who don't have any means at all of income, and in some instances they are left out, and those who can probably fend for themselves to a certain extent are the ones that get it. But it is also instructive to note that several new categories from what was the originally, so when the program actually was launched or started, there was a much smaller base which they were looking to assist. Over time, as reconsideration took place, as more people continue to move from haves to have not. Because of COVID, many people are out of a job at the moment. A lot of workplaces have not yet reopened. So whatever little these people had, it's now diminished. And so government continue to review and has brought in more people onto the list. Now, that will also take time for verification as the numbers that you have to deal with grow. Time will be of the essence. And I am not going to sit here and excuse those who have to do the preparation of the claims or the checks or what have you. They have to become much more innovative. They have to work, be more time sensitive, and recognize that when it comes to these little assistants, some people may not be able to do anything unless they get it. May not be able to put a meal on the table unless they get it. So we have to consider that and work assiduously to make sure that we increase speed but also accuracy, so that while you try to do more checks and evaluate and help more people, that you don't do it at the expense of making regrettable mistakes, printing wrong names, doing all those sorts of things. So it is not just an easy walk through the park. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes gifted people who have the capacity to work under pressure. And so I encourage them. Good job done thus far, 7,000 plus people, but you need to intensify, you need to move faster. Yeah. Because there are some people all day that are just so waiting because they need it and they need it badly.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Paula, I listened to a radio program yesterday, and on that program, the host made a very bold statement. She stated that in government saying or government indicating that there has been fraudulent activity from business owners and so on, that should not be done. And that government is using that as an excuse to not follow through on the promise that they had made to the people.
Now, did she state that as a fact or as her opinion?
Oh, as a fact.
Well, I think all we need to do is ask the individual to prove it, because therein lies an issue where it was explained that, look, they have found some people who are into the payroll support category in particular have not lived up to their expectation. That the fund was provided for them, and in many or in some of the instances, the workers has never received anything, and in other instances, what they have received is less than what they should receive, and so forth. And that has put an extra burden, even greater burden on the secretariat, and they now have to do much greater scrutiny of who they're dealing with and what happens to the money at the end of the day. So for political expediency, some people would say anything. Some people want to make the government out as a villain, as people who just promise and never assist. But that is not the case, and that is not a fact. And if someone wants to state what their feelings are, so be it. But say clearly, I feel this is the case.
Yeah.
Don't say that this is factual when you cannot prove and there is nothing to show that what you're saying is factual.
Absolutely. And also, Mr. Bola, it's when I was here on Friday, I encouraged the people that it is important for us to begin minding our business. I mean, how at this stage in 2020, we still have individuals who do not check with NIS to ensure that their benefits are being paid, who do not even know what 40% of their salaries should be in order for them to make a judgment on whether they're being shortchanged or they're being provided with what is expected of them. How is it that we are still in a place where instead of attacking what the real issue is, we still allow people to play political games with us? Because I cannot see, and for me it's a little bit upsetting, I cannot see and I don't know how they can justify it. I work for a company for X amount of years. You're supposed to, government is giving you 40% of my salary to give to me. You did not do that. Government is saying, okay, well, this is the case. We are looking into these issues. As a result, these checks are and then still these people turn around now and want to blame government. And you have put people in political positions who are saying to the general public, oh, don't bother with government. They're using this thing as an excuse to not give you your money. So you have these people now, instead of trying to find out from the Economic Support Secretariat, trying to find out from Government of Grenada, trying to find out from their business what exactly they're supposed to receive, why they have not received it, what can be done to ensure that they receive it on time. Instead of these conversations are being had, we have conversations of government lying, we have conversations of government didn't give no money, we have conversations of government using this as an excuse. I mean, when are we going to grow from that place where we start attacking real issues and stop putting everything into a political pocket, shake it around, and then pull out the first piece of paper and deal with that issue with a political lens?
Well, we are very politically charged in Grenada. The political landscape here is very saturated. But sadly, a lot of people use a lot of untruth and make-believe statements to get the way through. They want to bluff the way through. Mm-hmm. It seems in some instances to be working, but sadly, the Grenadian public are not that easily fooled. People would eventually get to know the truth. They'd eventually learn the facts. And then you who are not being very truthful and factual would be the ones who have to defend the things you said and the things you did. The facts are there and can be easily verified. You know, they are verifiable. That these are the issues that are hindering the faster processing of the claims. And I've said earlier on that we should not use that as an excuse. Mm-hmm. We should work feverishly to ensure that who has to get what gets it.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But Mr. Bola, not only that. Okay, let's play devil's advocate for a moment, right? Let's say that the host is speaking from a place where she believes that the civil service or the public service is controlled by NNP. All right, we're playing devil's advocate. We're talking a little politics. So she believes that it is controlled by the New National Party, which we all know is not true, right? Because the government per se is inherited. The civil service, the public service is inherited.
And it's independent.
And it's independent.
Yes,
so we may leave whatever this administration leaves there. The next administration picks up. And what they leave,
it's a continuum.
It's a continuum.
Government is a continuum.
So when you sit on a public forum and you call the workers, remember that, the workers of the public service, when you call them liars, remember you're calling your own people that may support you liars, you know.
Yep.
And they're not looking at it in that light because you're playing politics even with your own supporters. And I mean, if people are not upset about that, then I mean, what is the point? What is the point of even bringing facts to people? Because they would believe what they want to believe.
Well, that's true. People believe what they want to believe. People get swayed in a certain direction because of their own thought process and so. But facts are always facts. We say that here all the time. Facts are easily verifiable and they would always remain facts. And sometimes when people play these kind of games, like I say, it comes back to get them. Because when people, the same people you're trying to help mess up now in their heads, when they come to find out what the reality is, then they get back at you. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I'm best placed to advise those of us who are involved in frontline politics, But I found out while I was, very much involved in frontline politics, that the more upfront and truthful you are with the people, the easier your job becomes. Because when you give all these fictitious kind of issues, you bring it forward and you make believe and so, if and when your turn does come, you have built up a certain expectation in the people.
Yep.
Which you know fully well you will not be able to live up to. But you do it for the want of a vote. You do it for the want of getting into office, and then the people suffer again as a result. Because there comes another group whose intention was and continue to be power for a few.
Yeah.
So let's treat our people as though they are valuable. Tell them, and that is not to say sometimes people don't make a mistake or have shortcomings. But when you continue to do something over and over in a very purposeful way, because you want to hurt a particular individual or group of individuals, but by your doing, you hurt the whole country, it just doesn't make a lot of good sense.
But also, Mr. Bowler, and that is what I don't understand, because if you look at it, it's something very similar happened in 2008. Where you fed the people information, you raised their expectations. This is what should happen, and this is what is going to happen, and that's what we're going to do when we get into office, and that's what we're going. And then when you get there, you cannot function because you broke the system before you got in there, and now you need to build on that same foundation that you tried to
fix the system that you
broke. You know, and it's very sad that we keep going around in this circle and we're going around in this cycle where you have these opposition politicians. When they get into opposition, the only thing that they're focused on doing is bringing down the administration that is there. Leave that for when it's election time. Put all your things in a basket and wait.
Opposition is to oppose, dispose, but also to propose. And that is the part that I think sometimes in opposition we forget.
Yeah.
And when we oppose and dispose of what we see is not good, we need to propose what is best.
Yep.
So.
You're absolutely right. And that is something that we don't see a lot of in Grenada. Proposing, and even among our people as well.
Yep.
Even among our people as well. So I always bring up the issue of agriculture. We talk about more needs to be done in agriculture. Not enough is being done. But when you ask somebody what is already being done, they cannot tell you what is being done or what has been done. So how can more be done if you don't even know what is already being done? You know, what foundation do you build from? You know, so we have to be very careful in the information that we allow to be fed to us, and then what we believe. And that is where growth mindset comes in, where you sit and you critically think about an issue and you put all the dots in line and say, okay, well, this matches this, that will equal to this.
As they say, you put all your ducks in a row.
All the ducks in a row. You know, it's like multiple choice, you know. They teach you in multiple choice. You have 3 choices. One that is definitely not the answer, one that could possibly be the answer, and one that is absolutely correct. And you must sit down and do deductive reasoning and say, okay, well, this one definitely can be the answer. So let me look at this one and see which 2 factors would give me the correct answer.
Because in multiple choice, sometimes you have 2 answers that could be correct.
Could be correct.
But one has more weight
than the other. We have our first caller on the line for the morning. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Miss Uncle.
Morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Miss Uncle, in a time as this, right? 3 months, going 4 months now, where we had this government paying salaries, full salaries, not half year, full salaries to workers who they at their home because of the coronavirus. And this government don't have to sell no place. They don't sell no land to pay their salary. They paid the worker's salary fully, and they paid it on time. In 2008 to 2013, there was no coronavirus. There was no thing outside there, and people was getting paid late until the 5th or 6th of the month. And one of the things I want to encourage Grenadian people. Grenada is a small country. The truth is easily to be found. You can find the truth.
Yeah.
And go to the right source to get the truth. Because see, if you don't go to the right source, and you sometimes they pay you money. They pay you, the same people who trying to mislead you. They might be your employer. They pay them the money to give for you to receive.
Yep.
But they misleading you and they tell the government line. So you will never end up getting that money. But if you go through the right sources, the right source, and to find out whether government pay or pay, you're going to get the money. But when you have people misleading you, right, giving you wrong information, misinformation, you always remain there. And I always want to say to people, if you love people and care about people, you speak the truth to them.
Yeah.
And they were saying the truth will never change. The truth always remain the truth.
Absolutely.
And when your life of them people find out what you was telling them was a lie, they turn back and they will hate you forever.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Duncan, Mr. Bola, you have a wonderful God bless you.
You be good too, sir. Take good care.
Mr. Bola, I want to put a thought into the minds of people. It's something that I often think about, and I want to share that thought with others. As Grenadians, why do we believe, right? Not we, why do others believe that they can so easily mislead us and we won't find out? I want you to sit and think about that. Why do you believe that the opposition would share propaganda continuously, share lies continuously, tell you things that is meant to mislead you so easily, and the truth can be found out just as easy as they told a lie? Why do they feel comfortable and confident enough to do it? Why do these businesses look at their employees, look at our civil servants, and feel like they can defraud them so easily over something that can be verified just as easily as they have lied? And I want us to think about that for a moment, because then it speaks, Mr. Bola, volumes about what these people consider us to be and consider our thought processes to be. Because if I know you easily misled by something, I continue to mislead you, because I know I have these three factors to play with. One, you don't like the administration. Two, you're very politically charged. And three, you act very quickly on emotion. If I know these three things about you, Mr. Bola, I could tell you anything, and it would gain as much traction as I need it to gain to keep you in the place that I need you to be, so that you would continue to support me.
Mind control.
Mind control.
Yep. And that game is being played in Grenada all the time. It's a card that some people use in every game.
Mm-hmm.
But as a population, we need to just stop sometimes for a moment and think, as you rightly said. Look back and ask critical questions. One, to those who are speaking to us, but two, to ourselves as well. Why would he or she do that or say that? What benefit is there in it for them?
Mm-hmm.
Why should I believe this or believe that? What benefit is in it for me? And what benefit is there in it for the government to mislead you as they're trying to make you believe?
Yeah.
What does government have to gain? I mean, as the previous caller said, in many of our jurisdictions around us, many states around us, there have been a reduction in salary, by various amounts. In Grenada, even when we are not producing anything, even when the government's income or intake or revenues has dropped by 50% or more, government is still committed and is paying people their full salary on time.
I think we have a caller on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Duncan.
Hi, good morning.
Mr. Bola, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, son. I hope you had a fantastic weekend.
I had a good enough weekend.
Okay.
A good enough weekend.
Yeah,
not fantastic.
You had enough weekend. I hear you.
Oh my goodness. Well, we have to start up as a people stressing out ourselves with certain section of the society. I mean, we have a right to talk. And then we have an official opposition. So then there is that's a whole new different thing.
Yes.
But I don't really want to drag you all away from your topic. I just want to just make and then the people who it may fall into their thing. I don't know if it's the COVID-19 team, that most of the states only would do a test now on persons who is showing signs of the COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because they don't have enough
Resources.
test kits or whatever.
Yep. We've been hearing that
so,
from the news.
Right. So then I'm not quite sure how it's going to work out with people who wants to come home and cannot be tested. So that's something for another time, but I just want to draw that to your attention.
Well, it's a good thing to throw out. At least the COVID-19 committee continues to work and continues to revise things that they put in place. Because as we have said last week when we spoke, this whole situation is very fluid and it continues to change by the hour too, not just, so something that may be very necessary today, 2 days from now, may change into something else. So it's quite possible that between now and the 1st of August, when they are going to open up to international flights, you may hear something different. Mm-hmm. And I hope that would be the case, because they have to assess not only what is good for Grenada and what is happening in Grenada, but also what is happening in the country from where the people will be originating.
Yeah. And I also want to make Grenadians know that we had an official here in the U.S. who would have condemned the wearing of masks.
Oh.
And now he is in critical condition with the same COVID that was a hoax.
Yes.
The same COVID that was a hoax, he now is in critical condition because the official says, the people who is in the field says to wear a mask. But because I believe that you are aligned with a political party, a political ideology, which means it does not matter what the medical service says. What you think is right, what your organization says is right, that's what you're going to go with. So now he is languishing. I mean, it's not a happy statement.
No.
But it's a reality.
Yeah, you just had to say what a pity, and it's a learning lesson to be learned by those of us who are still here and think differently about COVID, or think that the authorities, wherever, not just Grenada or the US, wherever, when they make certain demands on us, that they're being unreasonable. Because some people feel that they're being, governments or these medical people are being unreasonable to ask me to wear a mask or to social distance or to wash my hands often, without thinking how critical this issue still is. It still is very critical. And we need to do the best.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes. So let us as Grenadians take stock, I mean, I'm doing my thing. I mean, I don't wear my mask in my car, but when I go out, I wear my mask. When I pump gas, I clean my hands with hand sanitizer because that's what I have, people must think. Use your common sense. You have a 8-pound brain on your head, use it.
Yeah.
Okay,
well, some people have more. I think you have a 12-pound brain. 6. You take some of mine.
Oh my goodness. All right. Have a good day.
You as well, bro, and continue doing the best you can.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution, caller. Mr. Bola, I want us to stop there for a moment because, I mean, we have a group of people. Like I can't call it the opposition because we have an official opposition, so it's not the opposition. We have a political party who has provided Grenada the only benefit. They've clamored that they want to be in office for years. They got the opportunity in 2008, and the only thing that they could do for Grenada was give us negative growth. That was the only thing. There were no salary increases. There were no benefits to workers. The country was on a total standstill. But yet, they are the same ones now turning around to say that nothing is being done. Well, if we go to base that nothing based on what you did in 2008, then we supersede leaps and bounds what can be done for Grenada, if that is the basis that they are going on. You know, so it's difficult for me to sit and listen to these people deliberate on what should, well, they never tell you what should be done for Grenada. Eh? They're very quick to say what is not being done. Very good at saying that this is a lie and that is a lie and all of that. Excellent professionals at telling you what cannot be done, what should not be done, but could never tell you what could be done. So it means now that when they get into office, they have no ideas on how to build Grenada. We have absolutely no ideas on what should be done to build Grenada. They only know what cannot work in their opinion.
Yep.
We have another caller on the line. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
All right. I'm good as well. I just wanted to contribute based on... Well, actually, I just stumbled across this on Facebook. And the last person was talking about... I only got the end of it. But it seemed as if we're trying to justify the minister's decision and the authority's decision to make into law that people should be wearing a mask, and it's not, well, first of all, which is unconstitutional, but it's not what we want to discuss. But what I wanted to ask, though, your guess, what I wanted to ask, though, what about the book of Revelation, which speaks about the kings of the earth, so the rulers of different countries, taking authority from 10 specific kings? Is that not the World Health Organization? Is that not the United Nations? To usher in the mark of the beast. That's all. I go back on Facebook and listen to your response.
Okay. Mr. Bola, I ain't even sure I know how to respond.
Well, I don't get clearly understand totally what the caller is asking. But if his interpretation of a biblical verse is the World Health Organization and whoever else he mentioned, that's his interpretation.
Yeah.
And I doesn't see how that interferes, because he said he heard the end of the last portion from the caller before, where we were talking about the wearing of masks and talking about the fact that COVID-19 is real and still around, and that the advice, remember that's the word I use, I didn't say law, I said the advice from the medical team and from the authorities is that you should wear a mask, you should social distance, you should wash your hands regularly. And these things are still very much in force because COVID-19 is still very much real. Now, if we think, or if there's anyone or any group or any person who has an interpretation of what is happening to mean that it is signs of the time from the Bible and you choose not to do, right before your eye, you see people dying as a result of the virus. You see people languishing in hospitals and in nursing homes and wherever they are because they fail to do as advised to keep themselves protected. I don't know, and I don't want to say that any authority can force you. I think you should be sensible enough to see and understand. And if your understanding is that you are protected by some other being, some other power, some unseen power, as one caller I heard on a program saying the last time that this is not a pandemic, but a plandemic, as he said this is something that was planned for the world. Well, even if that is the case, then how do you protect yourself from it?
Yeah.
If there are other ways, then they can see.
We have another call on the line. Good morning.
Ms. Duncan, good morning. Mr. Bola, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
You know, I'm listening to the program and I couldn't resist but to call when you mentioned that all that NDC did was 5 years of negative growth. And I thought, what a statement. Because one have to remember that during the tenure of the NDC, the reign of the NDC, the world, just like now, how it's going through a crisis, it was going through an economic crisis then. So there was no country in the world, whether the bigger countries that are stronger economically and otherwise, and countries in the region, none of them were doing so well because of the economic crisis. So to say that the NDC got an opportunity and messed it up is a bad, it's not something right to see, because one has to understand the mess that the NDC met in government, one, and two, the crisis at hand.
Tell us what they did so that we can correct the statement.
Right
Okay.
now, the government cannot do as much as they wish to do because of the present crisis. Yeah?
All right.
So we must
tell us
in what we are saying.
Tevin?
Yes, Duncan.
Good morning, Tevin. First
Good
of
morning,
all,
Miss Duncan.
good morning. I know your duty is to defend your political party, and of course, your loyalty is to them, and I appreciate
No,
that.
my
But we
loyalty
have
is
a question for you. We have a question for you. Could you please tell us exactly what they did? Because you are saying that they met an economic crisis and that the world was going through a crisis. We understand that. That is the rationale that you are giving. So what we want to know is what they did. Tell us, because we can speak about what our administration has done and what our administration continues to do. So you need to tell us, what your administration has done.
I'm telling you, free school books. One. While all other countries was getting rid of lessening the public service, the NDC made a decision that no public service servant, will be sent home, will be fired. Thirdly, we created a program where teachers who were not qualified or who did not have a degree was given the opportunity to go to school, still get paid, and get a degree, a scholarship to upgrade our education system. The Grenville Market and Bus Terminal was done under the National Democratic Congress. The Free Barrels Program was done under the National Democratic Congress. The Parliament building, the fundings, the architectural drawings, the land, the logistics, all of it, majority of fundings under the National Democratic Congress. Several other things, the youth apprenticeship program, where young people were given the opportunity to be on the job, trained on the job, given certificates on the job, a proper skills training program.
You're mistaken to the Imani program now? That's what you're referring to?
Mr. Bola, give me a chance. You asked me to say what the NDC did.
No, I was just asking for clarity.
All right. I'm sorry, Mr. Bola, and that is where we stop, because the caller needs to understand that in calling this program, he is not the host, so he cannot determine who speaks and when they speak. But Mr. Bola, let's weigh in on what Tevin is trying to say here.
I really don't wish to tell you the truth, because if he's saying that they get everything for the Parliament building, why did this government had to go to the UAE to get money to build the Parliament building, right? And if he wants to talk about taking praise for things, then this government has to take praise for the bus terminus and the market, because when the NDC came into government, the funding was already there from the Caribbean Development Bank.
And all they had to do was deliver, which they did not do.
It was just build, and they took almost the entire 5 years they spent in office to do it.
And
right?
It was not even completed.
Right, up until today. So the point is, it is a fact that during the period that the NDC spent in government, there was negative growth in the economy year after year after year.
Exactly.
And immediately when the NNP came in from the very next year, there were positive growth.
But Mr.
So that is the facts.
But Mr. Bola, no. You see, the thing that I think hurt them a lot is that they don't like to hear the facts. Now, let's talk about the things that he just mentioned. And I mean, I know we're straying off topic here, but let's talk about them. We have an administration that spent 5 years in government, and all they can boast about is free barrels. all they can boast about is a parliament building which they did not even find the funding for.
Well, they did some. They got a commitment from Australia.
A commitment.
Who withdrew after.
Yes. They're talking about a program for teachers which was already there.
For all public servants.
Public servants
already were used to going and study wherever and being paid. So that was a policy that was in place.
He's speaking about the Imani program and putting a nice little spin on it. It's still the Imani program. So out of everything that he spent time speaking about, nothing in it showed anything about social development for the people of Grenada. Nothing in what he said showed any infrastructural development for Grenada. Because if we're speaking about the bus terminus in Grenville and the market, we're speaking about them coming into a place where they met funding to complete a project that was already established. Right? Like we said, government is a continuum, right? So they are boasting about things that did not benefit the Grenadian people in the 5 years that they were there to grow, no development, no real development in the country, Mr. Bola. I mean, it's very sad, and I cannot believe that Tevin would take the time to call this program, of all programs, Kem Jones is on every single day of the week. But he chose today to call this program with a sitting ex-member of parliament to make these kind of erroneous statements. I mean, it's ridiculous. Let's not stray from the point. If you are saying that you did something accept the fact that there was failure. And that is how we begin to grow. When you accept that you have failed in a certain area, and then you begin to grow from there. You still haven't mentioned the fact that public servants were not only were they not able to get a salary increase, they were also not getting any salary at all until the middle of the following month. I mean, I do not understand why we are still going down this rabbit hole of I did this and I did that and you did this and you did that. If after 5 years all you could boast about is free books and free barrels, then we are in the wrong place. We're thinking about the wrong thing. What about the social development of the people of Grenada? What about housing? What about betterment of the people of Grenada? What about the development, infrastructural development, repairs for schools, scholarships for our children? What about all of these things? These are the important things about free barrels and free books. I mean, we gone past that place 10 years later and y'all still dwelling on the fact that y'all provided free barrels and free books. And this upsets me. It upsets me because if this is the premise on which you guys are founded, if these are the things that you guys can boast and beat your chest about, and you want Grenadians, us, to put you back in office, to do what? Provide us with school books and barrels again? I mean, we have to do better than that. It is ridiculous. I am very disappointed, Tevin. We'll and come again. So we have to do better as a people. We have to try our best to not let these forces push these kind of things down our throat and let us settle for mediocrity. That is mediocrity in its highest,
At its highest level.
Yes, mediocrity. We should be glad because NDC provided us with free barrels and free books. So we should be so happy. They put a nice dress on the Imani program that was founded by this administration and called it something else. As a matter of fact, they sent everybody home.
Of course.
They sent all of them home. Let's go there. Sent every single one of them home. And then put a new dress on it and hire back who they want. Something that was founded.
1,000 in 5 years.
1,000 in 5 years. I mean, I cannot understand why we are at this point. But Mr. Bola, I want to get into that.
No.
Because you know what happened there? They're trying to throw us off the train of thought. They're trying to make us talk about them when we should be talking about the good things that's happening in Grenada. So we ain't gonna go down that line. Well, but what we do need to go ahead.
No, I'm saying that they have all the opportunities. They have he was on GBN with his disrespectful self the other day saying that they don't have a representative in Carriacou. What they have is a flow mat. I mean, come on.
And that is the youth, huh?
Yes.
That is the youth. That's up and coming youth who do not even see it fit, even if you don't like their representative, even if you don't agree.
And show the respect.
Exactly. You don't agree with the way that she governs, fine.
And that's your right. Not
And that's
to agree
your right.
if you don't like.
But don't be disrespectful. And furthermore, she's a woman. You don't ever call a woman a floor mat. I mean, come on.
Anyway, let's move on with positive
We
things.
do
Ms.
have to
Blanca.
speak, Mr. Bowler, very quickly about the Grenada, and I want us to take our time to do that. There was a release from the government of Grenada because there was a talk going around. People were saying that it was sold because it was locked off and so on. And I want to read this statement by the government of Grenada on the Ministry of Tourism. Hopefully it's not as long as the last one. And it reads, the Ministry of Tourism shares the following information in relation to the tourist attraction sites. In keeping with regulations issued as part of the state of emergency instituted to curb the spread of COVID-19, the operation of tourism sites, like other businesses across the country, was restricted. The Grenada Lake was one such facility, which was closed and public access was prevented through the closure of the gate. Similar to the sector-based requirements for businesses to resume operations, tourism attraction sites must follow established guidelines before they can be allowed to reopen. As such, the facilities are being outfitted with the COVID readiness protocols, which include installation of touchless hand sanitizers and the training of staff who are now back on the job. In addition, the gate to the Grenada Lake is damaged and arrangements are being made for repair. In the meantime, individuals visiting the lake have not been turned away. However, in keeping with the restrictions on mass gatherings, the ministry is not encouraging large crowds to visit the attraction site. Going forward, the gates of the lake will be open during the day as is customary and closed at nights. Persons wishing to use the facility for special events are asked to request permission in writing from the Ministry of Tourism. The gate at Fort Frederick, another tourist attraction site, was closed due to incidents of vandalism. The damage has been addressed and the facility will be opened during the day and closed at night. With the launch of Paradise at Home, the Ministry of Tourism is inviting all Grenadians to explore the natural and scenic beauty of our country and its rich history, as well as experience the excellent services offered in the accommodation sectors. Visitors to our shores will join us sometime later, but in the meantime, the Ministry of Tourism urges you to take advantage of the charms of pure Grenada, spice of the Caribbean. Well, that speaks for itself.
Well, I don't think there's anything much here to explain. It is, as we have said before, that sometimes we hear a story and without any verification, we just run with it. We take it and we spread it and we add to it, put more fuel in the fire, not even stopping for a moment to ask ourselves, is it true or not?
Yeah.
And, the rumors continue to go around, and some of the rumor mongers do what they do on purpose, trying to create fear and instability, trying to get people to think differently about the administration and some of the things that are being done. And we oftentimes say here on this program, listen, people have to talk. When issues arise, there must be discussions about it. There must be some kind of discourse that takes place.
Yeah.
But let it be sensible and act within reason. Until and unless you are able to verify some of what you hear, don't just spread it like wildfire.
Yeah.
You may want to ask a question. You may want to inquire. You may want to seek some further clarity from a friend or from someone in authority.
Yeah.
But sometimes we hear something, we see something, and we act as though we are the authority. and we go about just saying things. Oh, yes, it is sold. Sold to whom? Sold when? Sold for how much? These questions we must ask. Who signed the documentation of transfer?
Yeah.
When did government take that decision?
Yep.
We don't ask any question because on the lips of some of us, it tastes well, it sounds good because the government do something bad again. Only to find out down the line that what you have been saying and spreading has no truth, not one iota of truth in it.
Yeah.
And we don't even go back on those platforms
And
where we
correct
helped
it.
spread
Yeah.
the untruth and say, I participated in spreading some information that I have now found out that was libelous, that was
Yeah.
not truthful. And I express my regret and sadness for that. We don't do that at all. So I think the release is more than enough to clear up whatever doubts, mistrust, or misinformation that was out there on that about that tourism site.
And while we're there, Mr. Bola, we're going to jump straight into the market square because in addition to what is being said about the them not being able to utilize the market, I want us to shed some light. And of course, I'll do my best to see if I get someone from the Ministry of Works to speak on the topic or to provide more information on the topic. From what I understand, in speaking with persons at the Ministry of Works, is that the permission that was granted for them to enter or to go back to the market square was not on the basis of them continuing business. I believe permission was granted for them to go in and clean up, because remember the lockdown was rather sudden for a lot of people, and there are people in there whose businesses require them to have to store perishable items and whatnot and what have you. So the premise of them going in there was not to start or to conduct business, because by right there was an arrangement between Works and Agriculture so that the vendors that are in the market can also utilize the tents and so on being provided by the Ministry of Agriculture in the National Stadium, right? That was the arrangement, the agreement. From what I understand, there is construction that should be taking place very soon on the market, and there is a release on that too. One thing I must say, they're doing a lot better, government of Grenada, of course, in providing information in the form of releases and these things. But I believe that more can still be done. More can still be done on more timely.
Because that was my question. My question was what was lingering in my mind was, when did the release?
Yeah, I think it came out over the weekend.
Right. And that would have been after the fact.
After the fact.
And therein lies part of the problem that we face. Now, the intentions may be very good by government or by the particular ministry or department.
Yeah.
Work need to be done. I think we need to do some repairs or renovation to the market. There need to be some tidying up the standard and quality of the tables and so that some people use. So maybe COVID-19 has presented an excellent opportunity for the ministry or the department within the ministry that deals specifically with markets to get it right, if not 100%, but to improve on what was there before.
Yeah.
But without effective and timely communications with the users of the market, who we commonly refer to as the market vendors, we are going to end up with some of the clashes like we're seeing. And so I think ministry personnel, and that would mainly be the public servants,
right?
With leadership from the departmental heads, the permanent secretary, and to a certain extent the minister, needs to understand that in moving forward, what has to be done must be coordinated properly so that we don't end up with different people getting different messages. Because sometimes that's when a lot of the confusion starts.
Yep.
Because the signals that get out there are not oftentimes similar or the same. You know,
Yeah.
it varies. Different people get different message, get different signal. And as a result of that, people would react. Talking about people reacting, I'm recognizing that in our country, the new way of settling whatever dispute, whatever confrontation that may have developed, whatever miscommunication may have gone across the lines, the way of doing it now is a demonstration. You know, not that people should not demonstrate, and that there should not be times when a demonstration will be effective. But I would have thought that you hit the streets and you demonstrate after other more civil, if I should use that word, attempts would have failed.
Right.
My question would be, have there been some level of dialogue? Is there a market vendors association? Do they have people, a spokesperson or people who speak on their behalf as the vendors? Was there any communication with the manager of the market? Was there any communication with the department within the Ministry of Works to verify what we've been hearing and what will be happening? Did they attempt to speak to the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Works, under whose jurisdiction market falls? Or did they even attempt to speak to the minister? Now, if you have gone through all of those channels and there seem to be no light at the end, if it appears as though people are not taking you seriously, then you move to the next stage.
Right.
But it worries me that immediately, once there seem to be some uncertainty, some misunderstanding, the next thing is that everybody hit the streets.
And everybody protesting.
And everybody protesting. It makes us look as though we are in great turmoil.
Yep.
That we are in such deep-seated and heated argument and hatred with each other that we have to make the international community see us as a people that always have to fight for justice and equality. And maybe in the minds of the vendors, what they're looking for is justice and equality. Maybe in their minds that's what it is. My question is, have we explored other more sane sources or opportunities before we hit the street? Yes? But as I've said before, those who are in authority must also recognize that timely and effective communication is important. Doesn't matter who you're dealing with. Was it street cleaners? Is it market vendors? Is it police officers? Ministry workers? It doesn't matter who. People have to be treated with respect. People must know what is expected of them. People must know what your plans are for them and how you're going to deal with them in the interim between when you execute the plans that you have for the facility and when they should return. All of those things must be clarified. And if they are, and they are communicated effectively and on a timely basis, I think we can avoid a lot of these quarrels and things that we're seeing.
Absolutely. Now, Mr. Pulawi, time is upon us, and I want us to quickly, four things that we need to quickly address. In the coming week, we'll be doing some restructuring to the time as it relates to Hard Talk. Usually what happens, we start our conversation would start at about 10:30, and that is because we use the first half of the of the show to facilitate PSAs and the national report and so on. But going forward, that would not be happening. We'll be starting at 10 o'clock. So guys, if you don't want to miss us, tune in at 10 o'clock. I know the majority of our listenership and so on, they tune in at 11, because that's the middle when things start to heat up and so on. So if you tune in at 11, you'll miss half the conversation, right? And we will facilitate the playing of the national report and so on at the end, right? So just bit of housekeeping, keeping you in mind. We will announce, we'll put it up on our Facebook page and so on, so you have an idea that is about to happen. So the show begins exactly 10 o'clock on the program, sorry.
Because I am not on any show.
10 o'clock, Monday to Friday. In addition to that, the Ministry of Agriculture has sent out a clarification of a change, and it reads, the Ministry of Agriculture and Lands wishes to inform the general public of a change in the venue for today's area meeting to discuss the merger of GCA and GCNA. The meeting will be held at the Bolio Roman Catholic School at 4 p.m. instead of the Boca Secondary School as previously announced. The ministry apologizes for any inconvenience caused. So the area meeting that discusses the merger between GCA and GCNA will take place at the Bolio Roman Catholic School and not the Boca Secondary School. So
they're
please,
not very far from each other.
Right,
so,
yeah. So
it's
please
within reach.
Keep that in mind. So remember, we start at 10 o'clock prompt, Monday to Friday. If you log in at 11, you'll miss half the conversation. So please log in at 10 o'clock. We will be streaming live as well now on Real FM. Is it Real FM?
Real FM.
Real FM.
91.9, 91.5.
91.9, 91.5.
The realest FM in Grenada, from Surtees in St. Patrick's.
The
Yeah, Mr.
realest
Donald,
FM.
good day to you, sir.
Absolutely. So, guys, if you don't want to miss out on good conversation, let's talk. Let's shed some positivity, shed some light on a lot of the situations that are happening in Grenada. And then we're going to dive deeper into the market situation tomorrow because, of course, we didn't get a chance to read the government's release. They would have indicated in their release that the Grenville market was able to open because there was more distancing. The social distancing rules of 6 feet could apply in that market. So that is why they were able to open. And of course, they have a well-built, newly refurbished market.
I think they have less vendors than St. George. So the cramped kind of spacing is not the same situation in Grenada.
Yeah. So there's a lot to take into consideration with this issue. But what we always want to advise you here is that whenever a situation arises, an issue, whatever it may be, before you can make a determination on which side you represent, you must get all of the facts on both sides, not just one side, on both sides. But also, it's okay to not represent a side. You don't have to pick a side in every fight. You don't have to pick a side in every disagreement. You can see both sides of the issue, and that can just be it. You don't have to be on a side.
Well, my team is always West Indies, not because they win, but even when they're losing, it's still my team. So I always pick a side. In cricket, it's West Indies. In football, I don't really have a special side like Manchester or whoever, so I back the best team that play. Who wins, I am happy for them. My friends, it was good being here with you today. It was good conversation. I do hope that you enjoy the rest of today, that you stay safe, keep your distance, continue to wear some kind of face covering once you're out in public. And I hope to be with you tomorrow, God's willing.
All right, guys, and it's always a pleasure being here with you. In whatever you say and whatever you do, be safe and be secure. We always want to be talking with you and never about you. Please do enjoy the remainder of your day.
You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada via www.hardtalkgrenada.com.
Grenada, like the rest of the Caribbean, and communities all around the world, is facing an unprecedented challenge with managing the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. We are thankful for the support of Grenadians and friends of Grenada, both here and abroad, who have come together to offer prayers, support with supplies, volunteer their time and expertise, and give donations. Many of you continue to reach out, asking how you can help. In response to your request, and to further streamline our procurement process of personal protective equipment and other supplies, the Government of Grenada has developed the COVID-19 Response Support Fund. The fund gives Grenadians, friends of Grenada, and organizations the opportunity to support and partner with us through donations in the fight against COVID-19. If you are in Grenada, funds can be donated at the Grenada Cooperative Bank at account number 413-000-849. For further details and donation options when contributing from outside of Grenada, please visit our website covid19.gov.gd/donate.
Good morning, listeners, and welcome to another program complements the Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority, striving for a cleaner and healthier environment. June 1st marked the beginning of the Atlantic hurricane season. For this morning's program, we wish to share some valuable solid waste management tips for before and after the passage of a storm. In the event of any weather-related incidents, most times we can expect interruptions to the regular twice-weekly garbage collection schedule provided by the Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority. This may be as a result of damage to infrastructure, including bridges, broken roads, blocked roads from fallen utility poles, landslides, fallen trees, and other storm-related debris, making roads inaccessible, or possible damage to our garbage collection